The Gospel according to St. Matthew, chapter 26. St. Matthew, chapter 26, looking at verse 26 through verse 30. St. Matthew 26, beginning with verse 26. And as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and broke it and gave it to the disciples and said, "Take, eat. This is my body." And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, "Drink ye all of it. For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." And when they had sung an hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. Our focus is verse 30. And when they had sung an hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. Look at your neighbor and tell him, Jesus sang. You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. When they had sung an hymn at the institution of what we call the Lord's Supper, they sang an hymn. Jesus was indeed a man for all seasons. There's the preaching Jesus, the teaching Jesus, the healing all manner of diseases Jesus. There's the opening blinded eyes Jesus, the unstopping deaf ears Jesus, the making the lame to walk Jesus, and the dumb to talk Jesus, and the casting out demons Jesus, and the raising the dead Jesus, and the turning water to wine Jesus, and the walking on water Jesus, and the baffling lawyers and scribes Jesus, and the never a man spake like this Jesus. As we follow him in Scripture, we discover a Jesus who rejoiced, a Jesus who sighed, a Jesus who wept, a Jesus who got angry, a Jesus who groaned in the spirit, a Jesus who became disgusted, a Jesus who loved men, women, and children, a Jesus who attended weddings, a Jesus who showed up at funerals, a Jesus who went out to dinner, but we hear nothing of a Jesus who sang until this text. And when they had sung an hymn, after communion, they went out. We are accustomed to the way he taught and the way he preached and the way he prayed and the way he rebuked and the way he healed, but only once is it noted that he sang. Both Matthew and Mark record the same occasion and probably the same song. After communion, they sung an hymn and went out. I find it significant that on Maundy Thursday, just before Good Friday, Jesus felt it significant enough to sing a hymn with his disciples. On the most trying night of his life, he prepares himself and his disciples with a hymn. He sings a hymn with the group and then goes out to face what he had been telling them that he had to face all the time. You remember he said, I must work the works of him that sent me while it's day, because night is coming and I won't be able to work. Well, at this occasion, night has come, and preparing himself to face the night, he with his disciples sing a hymn. May I just put this in and let you know that it is important how you face your night. It's important how you set yourself up for your night, because you see, nighttime is coming in everybody's life, and the type of music that you set yourself up for is determining how you make it through your night. Before he went to what was facing him, he took time to join them in a hymn. What was facing him? Facing him was Peter's denial. Facing him was Judas's kiss of betrayal. Facing him was the loneliness of Gethsemane. Facing him was Pilate's judgment hall. Facing him was Herod's harassment and mockery. Facing him was rejection from the people he came to save. Facing him was Golgotha's hill. Facing him was Calvary's old rugged cross. Facing him was wounded for my transgressions and bruised for our iniquities. Facing him was his own death and burial. But he did not face it until they sung a hymn. There is something about music. There is something about the gospel and song. There is something about the music of good news, especially hymns, that have the ability to prepare us for what we have to face in the night. A song in the night, a hymn in the night, an ode in honor of God helps us to face the night. Times when darkness covers everything, blacker than 100 midnights down in a cypress swamp. The nighttime, not just when you pull the shades and the sun goes down, not just when you turn everything off and get in bed, but night times of sickness and night times of depression and night times of losing somebody you love and night times of attractions and distractions and infractions. Nighttime. But if you use Jesus for an example, the best way to face the night is to sing a hymn. Not a song of complaint, not a somebody done me wrong song, not a nobody knows the trouble I see song, but a song that will lift your spirit and take you through the night. In order that they might feel a greater depth of power as they departed into the night, they sung a hymn. The hymn, the last word in sacred worshipful music. The hymn, greater than an anthem, more powerful than a spiritual, better than a gospel song as we know it today, because that's what Jesus sang. A hymn. The hymn, not a jubilee, not a minstrel tune, chasing Jerry spirits, not the blues, but Jesus sang a hymn. If I may digress for just a moment, every now and then I have some directors and musicians in the church who want to know, Bishop, why is it that every Sunday we sing a hymn? And I said, because I don't want you to lose our foundation. The hymn is what brought us thus far. So every Sunday in our order of service, we've got to put in one hymn so our young people will know that's your root, that's your heritage. And even when the slaves didn't know any better, they relied on the hymn. When master treated them every kind of way, it was the slaves that said, up above my head, I hear music in the air. Jesus